You wake up and reach for your phone. It's the same thing you do every single morning without thinking. You open your browser. You type something in. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe it's a symptom you noticed last night. Maybe it's just the name of that actor you couldn't remember before you fell asleep. But today, nothing loads. You try again. The page just sits there, white, blank, completely still. You switch to your email. Gone. Your calendar. Gone. You open YouTube to see if anyone's talking about it, and the screen stares back at you like an empty room. Google is down. Not slow, not glitching. Down. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a very uncomfortable thought begins to form. You don't know how to function without it. For most people, Google isn't a company, it's infrastructure. It's the invisible scaffolding underneath nearly everything you do online, and a lot of what you do offline too. Search, maps, email, cloud storage, calendars, documents, video, advertising, operating systems, satellite imagery, translation, healthcare tools, academic research. The list doesn't end. Google processes roughly 8.5 billion searches every single day. Gmail has over 1.8 billion active users. Android powers more than 70% of the world's smartphones. Google Maps is used by over 1 billion people every month. YouTube is the second largest search engine on the planet. When you imagine Google disappearing, most people think about not being able to search for things. But that's like imagining a city losing its electricity and only worrying about your lamp. This is the story of what actually happens. Hour by hour, day by day, week by week. This is what the world looks like when Google is gone. Phase 1. The first hour. It starts as confusion. You assume it's your connection. You reset your router. You ask someone nearby if their internet is working. It is. You try again. Still nothing. You post about it on social media and immediately realize you're not alone. Within minutes, the phrase "Google down" is trending everywhere. On X, on Reddit, on every platform that isn't Google. But here's the thing. It isn't just Google search. Gmail stops delivering emails. Google Drive won't open. Google Docs, the place where millions of businesses store their most important files, is completely inaccessible. Google Meet drops every active call simultaneously. For a moment, offices around the world go quiet in a way they haven't in years. Developers start panicking first. Thousands of apps and websites run on Google's cloud infrastructure. When Google goes down, they go down too. Shopping carts freeze mid-checkout. Booking systems lock up. Logistics platforms lose visibility over their own supply chains. Hospitals running Google-integrated patient systems suddenly can't access records. Airlines check in on their own platforms, but Google-dependent third-party booking services stop responding. Customer service lines flood instantly. People don't know if their flights exist anymore. And it's been 40 minutes. Phase 2. The first day. By mid-morning, the financial markets are rattled. Alphabet, Google's parent company, has one of the largest market capitalizations in the world. Within the first 2 hours, its stock begins a freefall. But it doesn't stop there. Every company that relies on Google advertising, which is most of the internet's commercial ecosystem, starts bleeding too. Digital advertising is a $600 billion industry, and Google controls nearly 40 cents of every dollar spent in it. That machine has just ceased. Businesses that run entirely on Google Ads wake up to nothing. No impressions, no clicks, no revenue. Small businesses, media companies, e-commerce brands, all of them are staring at dashboards showing zeros. Meanwhile, on the streets, something quieter is happening. People are lost. Not metaphorically, physically lost. Google Maps has become so deeply embedded in how people navigate that an entire generation has never learned to read a physical map. Delivery drivers, the backbone of the modern economy, can't find addresses. Rideshare apps that use Google's mapping API stop working. Package deliveries fall behind. Grocery store restocking slows. Restaurants wait for ingredients that never arrive on time. You try to find a phone number for a local business. You realize you don't know how. You've always just Googled it. Phase 3. The global ripple. By evening of the first day, the scale of what's happening starts to become clear. Governments begin issuing statements. Tech regulators hold emergency briefings. The EU, which has spent years scrutinizing Google's dominance, suddenly faces the uncomfortable reality that breaking up the company would not have prevented this, because the infrastructure is irreplaceable in the short term. Developing nations feel it hardest and fastest. In parts of Africa, Southeast Asia, and South America, Google isn't just a search engine, it's the entry point to the internet itself. Google's free tools have been the foundation of entire digital economies. Teachers who built their classrooms around Google Classroom lose everything overnight. Journalists using Google's translation tools to cover international stories go dark. Small business owners whose entire customer base found them through Google search suddenly have no visibility at all. The open web, the version of the internet that existed before Google organized it, is gone. What's left feels disorienting, like walking into a library where someone has removed all the signs and shuffled every book. Phase 4. Days 2 through 7. The competitors move fast, but not fast enough. Bing, DuckDuckGo, Yahoo Search, they're real, they're functional, but they weren't built for 8.5 billion searches a day. Their servers strain under the sudden load. Pages load slowly. Results feel thin. People who've never thought critically about search suddenly realize how much of what Google returned wasn't just information. It was curated, ranked, personalized intelligence built over 2 decades of behavioral data. Microsoft scrambles to expand Bing's capacity. Apple activates contingency plans for its own search product. Amazon quietly begins accelerating its own mapping services. The vacuum Google leaves is so enormous that no single company can fill it in days or even months. Android phones begin behaving strangely. Without Google servers to authenticate apps, verify security certificates, and push updates, billions of smartphones start losing functionality slowly, quietly, like a body losing warmth. Corporate IT departments work around the clock migrating files off Google Drive to Microsoft OneDrive, Dropbox, and private servers. The process is chaotic. Some files are already corrupted. Some are simply gone, not because Google deleted them, but because without authentication, the system can't confirm who owns what. YouTube, a platform that has replaced television for entire generations, goes dark. Video creators who built livelihoods on the platform lose everything simultaneously. The media ecosystem doesn't just shrink, it fractures. Phase 5. Weeks and months. As weeks pass, something unexpected begins to happen. People adapt. Not comfortably, not cleanly, but they adapt. Old habits resurface. People call each other. They ask neighbors for directions. Local newspapers see traffic they haven't seen in a decade. Printed maps reappear in gas stations. Businesses invest in their own websites again, in newsletters, in communities that don't depend on a single platform. But the economic damage is catastrophic. Thousands of small businesses that lived entirely inside Google's ecosystem never recover. The advertising industry is permanently restructured. The companies that survive are the ones that had built redundancy into their systems, the ones that didn't put everything into one platform. In universities and research institutions, the absence of Google Scholar sends academic productivity backward months. Librarians, a profession many believed was obsolete, become suddenly, unexpectedly, vital. New search engines emerge. Some are built on open source frameworks. Some are built by governments who decide they can never allow this kind of single-point dependency again. The EU begins funding a public European search infrastructure. China, which had already built its own parallel internet, barely flinches. The world doesn't end, but it is permanently different. Here is the thing that stays with you long after the dust settles. Google was never just a company. It was a decision that humanity made, collectively, gradually, almost without realizing it, to hand the organization of its knowledge to a single private entity. No vote, no debate. Just billions of individual choices that over 20 years quietly built a dependency so deep that its absence is unthinkable. The question isn't really what happens if Google disappears. The question is how we built a world where that question is terrifying in the first place. Every system, every convenience, every shortcut has a shadow. And the bigger the shortcut, the longer the shadow. You search for something tomorrow. The page loads instantly. Everything works exactly the way it always has. But maybe, just for a second, you think about what's underneath it. If this made you think differently about something you use every single day, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people. Subscribe if you want more videos like this, because we go deep on scenarios most people never think about until it's too late. And drop a comment below. Which part of Google disappearing would hit you the hardest? I read every single one.